Welcome students, parents, staff, and friends of Augusta County to Connecting with Augusta County Schools. I'm Eric Bond, and I proudly serve as your Division Superintendent. Please join me throughout the year as we take a closer look at our outstanding division and how we strive to serve every child, every day. Hello friends, this is Eric Bond, Superintendent of Augusta County Schools, and welcome to another episode. We are honored today to have our guest, Mr. Stephen Troxell. Mr. Troxell is our newly appointed school board member representing the South River District, and we're delighted to have him here. Welcome, Mr. Troxell.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, Mr. Troxell, can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, kind of like your hometown, your educational background, career, etc.?
Well, hometown is Augusta County. I was born here in Augusta County and have lived here most of my life except for a short time frame down in Petersburg, Hopewell area, and 1 year up in Washington, D.C. And of course, I went to high school, elementary school, and there was no middle school then in Augusta County, Wilson Memorial High School and Wilson Elementary School, and went on to Blue Ridge Community College and worked and went to school at the same time, and then ended up at Madison College, and eventually it became James Madison University, and then went back a couple times, got a couple of master's degrees at James Madison University, and my family has lived here for multiple generations. I have brothers and nieces and nephews and relatives that live throughout Augusta County, so Augusta County is my home.
That's great. And your career, you spent most of your time as a public educator, is that correct?
For the most part, public education. Actually started that process working part-time at Anthony Seeger, the pilot school or study environment for Madison College, under a couple professors that thought I had some talent in the educational arena. And as a matter of fact, that springboarded me to the Richmond, Petersburg, Hopewell area, and spent a couple of years in public education. Came back and worked a year with the bookmobile, right around delivering AV equipment, and then got an opportunity to get into the school system in Augusta County, and then spent a couple of years in county recreation and city recreation departments, private sector, working at some outdoor supply stores, and then got back into public service with City of Stanton and the Office on Youth, started that program, was there 5 years, and then kept a lot of statistics on young people. And my passion was always preschoolers. So when the school divisions in the area decided they wanted to get into preschool, I had all the data, and we all got together and we wrote a grant. It failed the first time, and the second time it happened, and I was asked if I was interested in directing that program, and I said only if I'm the best qualified person, and they did hire me. But I spent 20 years doing that, and that was a great experience. And what it gave me was a good perspective on the tough job that parents have in raising their children and getting a good education. I've often said I haven't met a parent that didn't love their child. They just didn't know how to go about getting that quality education sometimes, and that's where professional educators come into the picture. So I support parents and public schools because it's a partnership.
And it's an amazing career, and certainly I can speak to your career with Augusta County Schools, working side by side with you as Director of Head Start, and certainly we appreciate all you've done for our little folks and actually starting that program, and that program is thriving today due to your hard work, so we appreciate that. Kind of a nice segue to the next question is, through all those work experiences, especially in public education, what characteristics or experiences do you have that you're excited to share with the school board and with our community in general?
Well, I think it does come back to my experience with working with families, not just in preschool, but elementary age children, middle school age children, high school age students, And I've had coaching experience. I've worked with parents as they have great aspirations for their young people to be successful in sports because I understand that importance. It was very important to me playing athletics as a young person and probably gave me that spark of interest to actually become an educator and a coach. So I look at that varied background as a plus. And working with young parents, they want a good education for their child or their children. Sometimes they're not sure how to go about it. I've often said to them, you know, you're the first teacher and you're a lifelong role model and mentor. So every time you do something, every time you put that baseball hat on and your little son is watching you, they're going to emulate you. And I've seen that so often. Lifelong mentor, role model is something you never give up. So we have a real partnership. I'm excited about trying to promote that and get young people to understand what you put into it's what you're going to get out of it. Don't let somebody tell you you can't do it. Be one of those people that I can't do that. Positive things. Go out and prove them wrong, and you'll go a long way in life.
So speaking of role model, I mean, was there someone in your life that was your role model or someone that inspired you to be in a leadership role and certainly in this leadership role with the Augusta County School Board?
Well, when I was growing up, I would never admit to my parents that they were role models. But obviously, as I've gotten older, I realize I'm a direct reflection of my parents. I had some teachers in elementary school. I remember one teacher telling my mother, I don't think he can see, he needs glasses. And the teacher was right. And so my educational process changed dramatically at that point. In high school, because there was no middle school, obviously it was coaches and some teachers that were great role models and got me interested in what it takes to be successful. I wasn't the best student, far from it, but I was one of those students that if you told them they couldn't do it, by golly, I was going to do it.
So since you've been appointed to the board, what opportunities have you had to get to know the schools you serve, and what's been your first impressions so far?
Well, number one, the school system people have been very generous and kind to accept me into their fold, so to speak. They've invited me to different things, and I've made a point of going. One school put some books in their library in my honor. I said that I'm going to have to go by there and read those books because that's a great honor. I really appreciate that. I love books, do a lot of reading myself. I also made a commitment to answer every email that I get from staff or parents, just to let them know that I got it and appreciate the communication. Don't know if I have an answer, which I told one parent, don't know that I have an answer, but at least I know the question. And so that's my approach. I don't have the answers, but I know how to ask questions, and I know pretty much who to ask the questions to, and hopefully I can get an answer. If not, there may not be an answer right now.
So I'm going to go back down memory lane a little bit. Do you have a favorite memory when you were in school?
Well, most young people would probably tell you it's graduation day. But I think from my perspective, it's the lessons that I've received from coaches, but also from teachers who challenged me and had an interest in me and a faith in the fact that I may not be the best student in their classroom, but I'm glad you're in my classroom. Learn as much as you can and learn those things that are going to help you. I remember a man, Jesse Ridgway, Mr. Ridgway, taught chemistry for umpteen years and continued to come to ball games and so forth into his early 90s before he passed away. I was a horrible chemistry student. I just couldn't get it. And I got through his class, but he was always pleasant. He always had an interest in me, even though I wasn't, a great chemistry student. I wasn't real good in math, and I remember a teacher, Mrs. Scott. And when I went to Blue Ridge, I called her and said, I'm going to Blue Ridge. She said, good luck. I said, well, I need a little help. And she was willing to tutor me and help me with my math class. And I got through it, and it was because of a teacher who was willing to help an average or below average student in that particular discipline get through math in college. And, here I am today with a couple master's degrees. So who would have ever thought? That's one of my things that I would say to young people and to parents. It's not where you start, it's where you end up.
So is it safe to say that some of your fondest memories and some of your success could be attributed to teachers engaging with you and building a relationship with you and having an investment to you?
I don't think there's any doubt. At the time, I didn't realize it, but school and sports and your friends and just that whole environment was the deciding factor of your life. And I don't think young people realize just how important those years in school are to them. If they go on to college and so forth, that's great. If they go into the community and begin working, they're going to at some point look back and say, those were pretty good years. Yes, I had to get up early to get to school, but it wasn't as hard as it is getting up every day and going to a job, and you've got to earn a living and you're supporting your family and so forth. Those are tough. And be a parent and work and get everything to work for the family, that's a tough job. That's a tough assignment.
So, got one last question for you. We've got a lot of really wonderful and exciting programs going on in Augusta County schools that we're very proud of, and more to come as we continue to grow. But so far, what excites you about the future of education in Augusta County Public Schools from your perspective thus far?
As I said, I've had an opportunity to work in 12 public schools, not only in the Shenandoah Valley, but down in the Richmond area. And I've done some consulting with about 20 or 30 other public school environments across the Commonwealth. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. You play to your strengths and you manage your weaknesses. But here in the Shenandoah Valley, we have strong public schools. Sure, I'm a little biased because I was brought up through the Augusta County Public Schools. I've worked in the Augusta County Public Schools, and now I'm involved in public schools here in Augusta County in this way. But Augusta County has good schools, and I say that without hesitation. I know how the internals of Augusta County School or any public school works, and just the mechanism by which decisions are made in the best interest of young people and how we arrive at what we do is always in the best interest of the most young people that we can possibly make that decision work for. And so I see programs for the gifted and talented because I know some young people that are in gifted and talented programs, and they're challenged to be even more, for lack of a better way to put it, gifted and talented and succeed. But I also am excited about programs like the Valley Academy that takes young people where they are and gives them those opportunities, and they're able to springboard to success through that program. Again, it's not what you're doing that's going to determine your outcome if it's positive. And it's not where you start, it's where you end up. And don't ever take a setback as a final defeat. That's just a learning opportunity as far as I'm concerned. It's like tempering steel. The more you temper it, the stronger it gets. So the more failures we have as individuals, particularly in our educational process, just makes us that much stronger.
Mr. Troxell, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on our show today. We appreciate your service to the South River District, but also to Augusta County Public Schools as a whole, and your commitment to make lives better for young folks. So we appreciate your dedication, and again, thank you for being on our show today.
Thank you.
Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to get updates on our latest episodes. Our episodes can always be found on Augusta County Schools Facebook page and website.